This call is now being recorded.
Okay, so before starting object-oriented programming in C++, I would like to ask how many of you have any idea about C, or no, basically I want to know how many of you have no idea about C or C++ either. You can write in the chat box. Anyone who is not familiar with C or C++, any of the one languages. Okay, so no problem. We will try to cover as much basics as we can. Okay, great. Some people have idea about what is the difference between C and C++. That's nice. Okay, great. So we will begin with the question uh, that what are we going to cover today? So the today's agenda is why C++, then introduction to OOP, which is object-oriented programming, classes and objects, access modifiers and constructors, and then the four principles or the concepts of object-oriented programming. So moving ahead, the first question is why C++? Why is it such a hot buzz or it is such a famous language? So one of the main reasons is it is fast. The reason behind is since it is fast, it is used in a lot of operating systems like Windows or Mac OS. It is used in browsers like Mozilla Firefox or Google Chrome. Another reason of C++ being so famous and so widely used is it is used in GUI applications and games. If anyone can tell me what is GUI so that I can know that people know what is GUI. You can write in the chat box. Okay, great. Abdul Samad, graphical user interface. That's right. GUI means graphical user interface, and its applications are basically to make an application user friendly, right? So C++ is used in GUI and games. The last and the most important reason of C++ being so widely used and one of the best choice of competitive programmers is because of the following reasons. First, C++ is very fast. Because of being fast, most of the competitive programmers choose C++ as their language. It the main purpose of writing a program is, I think, to make it as fast as possible. So we choose C++. And second reason is it has a large community. With large community, I mean all the resources are available. There's a lot of information available on internet and easily available on internet about C++. So it makes a widely used language. And one of the and last and the most important reason of C++ being so useful and widely used is that it has an STL library. STL library is standard template library. It has pre-built functions. Like for example, if you have to sort an array, right? So you have to write the whole algorithm of bubble sort or merge sort, right? So, but with STL, we can directly use a built-in function of sort, and we can easily sort the array. So these are the reasons why C++ is so widely used. Okay. So now the question arises: we already know what is C. Why do we need to shift on to C++, right? So moving on for with the first difference, C++ is a low-level language, and C++, whereas, is a high-level language. It is a top choice of developing games, networking, and it is used in server-side applications as well. Another reason is it has data security, encapsulation, and information hiding. Well, all these words are a bit typical to here for the first time, but as we will learn more about object oriented programming, we will know how C++ help in doing all this data security, encapsulation, and basically what all these terms actually mean. Okay, so right now we should just learn that it helps in data security. In C, we do not have security of the code we write or the functions we write. Okay, whereas in C++, we can secure our data. Another difference is we can make the variables accessible according to our use. We can modify the variables. Like if I want a user to just have access to some variables and not to others, so this we cannot do it with C, but in C++ we can assign accessibility to the variables. Okay, another reason is data types. In C, we have only inbuilt and primitive data types. I hope everyone is familiar with data types. If anyone is not familiar, you can write in the chat box. So I think everyone know what are data types. Okay, so still I will mention primitive data types are like int, float, double, and so on. And inbuilt is like they're already built in the language, right? So C has inbuilt primitive data types, whereas C++ support user-defined data types. Now, what do we mean by user-defined data types? These data types are the user itself has the right to define data type of their own for their own use. Okay, so we will learn more about it in the upcoming lecture. Also, one of the reason is C++ has some built-in data types like Boolean and string. We all know, I think Boolean it has true or false values, right? But in C, we do not have any such inbuilt data type. For a string, if we have suppose if we have to build a string or take an input of a string, then what we have to do in C? Can anyone answer me this question? If you want to take input, okay, use pointers. Uh, okay, well, we form an array of characters. Okay, nice. Yeah, this is the answer I wanted to know. Well, Abdul Samad, I think you wanted to say that we can use pointers, but initially we need to make an array of characters, right? Okay, so Sneha is right. We need to make an array of characters. Whereas in C++, we have a complete data type for it. We can just assign a string and take input easily. Okay, and the last difference is input and output functions. To take the input and output functions, we use scanf and printf in C, whereas in C++ we use cin and cout. Okay, so as you said, most of the people are familiar with the syntax of C. So C++ has almost familiar syntax, and so let's just see a very small, simple program of C++. It has this header file. I hope everyone is familiar with what are header files. If you're not, you can comment in the chat box and I'll let you know. Okay, great. Okay, so if everyone knows, can someone answer me what are header files? Anyone? Okay, this is weird. Since everyone know. Okay, great. Yeah, right. They are inbuilt libraries. Very good, Samad. Very good. Okay, so moving on. According to this program, we are assigning a character, initial character A, and we are running this for loop till z. Okay, and after every iteration we are incrementing I, moving on to the next character, and we are simply printing the characters. So this is a basic program of printing characters from A to Z. Okay, I hope everyone is clear with this. So now moving on, these are the data types, and since everyone is so much familiar, we will not learn more about it. Okay, they are all exactly same in both C and C++. Okay, yeah. So finally, moving on to the introduction to OOP. And what is OOP? OOP is object-oriented programming, which is a programming paradigm. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, everyone is right. So we can move on. Okay, so now we should move on to introduction to object-oriented programming. Now, it is a programming paradigm. Now, everyone would just think like, what is a programming paradigm? So basically, programming paradigm means it is a set of rules or ideas or ways how a programming language should work or a program should work. This is what basically a programming paradigm means. Okay, so there are other programming paradigm as well other than OOPS, but since it is so widely used and it is one of the most famous programming paradigm, we study uh, object-oriented programming. Okay, so like, what is the basic idea behind object-oriented programming? So the idea is we need to represent real life object or entities into our program. Okay, so let's take an example and understand it from there. We have a car. Okay, suppose a car is an object and it must have its features, its characters. Like a car has a color, it has a mileage, and it has a model number, and so on. Right. So these are the characteristic or features of an object car. Right. So if we want to represent this car into a program, we want to build a program of car. So we need. So this is the reason why we use object-oriented programming. Now the question arises कि okay fine हम कर सकते हैं represent real life object को अपने program में, but कैसे करेंगे? So this is the next question: how we will implement real life objects or entities into a program. We use classes and objects to implement the real life objects into a program. So if anyone is familiar with what are classes and objects, they can just shoot your answers. Okay, no problem. So basically, C classes are building blocks of C++. So let's focus on this line, user-defined data types. As we already read about this, what are user-defined data types is, let's learn this from an example. Okay, so as we defined an object car, right? So, uh, okay, let's take it simple. We will, if we want to store the age of a student, what do? We create a variable of integer type and store the age of the student. Simple, right? But if we want to store the data of a complete student, so like, what data type, what do you think we should use? There's no such data type available, right? And also it has, a student has it characteristics of its own, like it has a name, it has an age, uh, the student must have a roll number, and so on, right? So here comes into play classes. We define a class and work on that. Okay, so we will learn more about it later and you will be clear with the concept of classes. Now, what are objects? Objects are entities with some characteristics and behavior. And focusing on this line, an object is an instance of a class. So if a car is an object, then we can say uh, like Maruti is a object. Okay, so Maruti has all the features of class car, right? It has a color, it has a model number, it has some mileage, and so on. So these are objects. Okay, so a class is a blueprint of an object. Okay, so if we say what is a blueprint, blueprint is something like if we make a home, right? And if we make a blueprint of a house, then it consists of like where the stairs are, where the door will be, and so on. Similarly, in an object, if we in the classes, the what are the features or the characteristics which that object consists is defined inside the class. Okay, so let's just learn more about it with some examples. Okay, so if we take a class fruit, then the objects could be an apple. Okay, so if we take so these are the few examples. Okay, and now we will move on to how we should, let's write some code and learn how to make a class. Okay, so I would like to request everyone to open an online compiler. Okay, C++ compiler, so that you can code along with me. I'll just share you the link for the online compiler. Okay, yeah, GDB compiler. Okay, so when everyone is, you should just open it and I'll start to code how to make a class. Okay, first of all, we have already a header file included, and this is a main function. So a class is built outside the main function. Okay, so let's build a class called employee. Okay, so a class employee has some characteristics, right? They are, suppose we take three characteristics: name, which is of type string, company, type string again, and age of the employee, which is of type int. Okay, so these are called the member functions of the class. Okay, so we have three characteristics of a class employee. Now, if we want to access these member functions, these characteristics of an employee, suppose I want to assign the name of an employee, what should I do? So for that, I will make an object of class employee. Okay, suppose emp1. Okay, this is my employee 1. I have created an object of class employee, and now I want to name the now I want to name this employee. Okay, so how will I name? Dot. There is nothing visible, right? We okay. Now let's assign this a name. I'll write my name. So now let's run this. Okay, now we will print the name. Okay. If we run this program, let's see what happens. Okay. Can everyone just see this error over here? Okay, so it is saying that employee name is private within this context. Now, what do we mean by private? So this is what class is all about. C++ security and accessibility is all about. We can we can make our variables accessible, like we can make them private, public, or anything. So I want to access the members of this class from outside this class, right? मैं int main function में से कॉल करना चाहती हूँ क्लास एम्प्लॉय क्लास के एक ऑब्जेक्ट वेरिएबल को, राइट? सो फॉर दैट मेरे को ये जो वेरिएबल्स हैं वो पब्लिक होने चाहिए, राइट? सो आई असाइन दीज variables a public modifier. Now we will learn this modifiers in the upcoming slides. Okay, so bear with me. Okay, so now let's try to run and see what happens. Okay, great. Yeah, one more thing, there was this semicolon is required after the completion of class, so no errors. But this program is not doing anything, right? So let's make a function so that we can just interact with this class employee class, right? So we will now I want my employee to introduce itself, right? So I'll make a function called the introduce function. Okay, now what I want to do in this function is it should display the name, company, and age of the employee. Okay, so I'll write it quickly. Okay, so I made this function and what it does is it print all the details of the employee. Okay, so now I have made this object of class employee, my employee 1. Okay, now I have given this employee a name, Samiksha, right? Now I want to print, now I will assign all the characteristic, all the variables a value. Okay, so I'll assign company as ABC. Okay, I'll assign age, so age should be integer. I'll assign 21. Okay, so now let's just invoke this function where the employee would introduce itself. Okay, so how will we call this function? Introduce. So let's see what this program does. Okay, great. So we have the name, company, and age of the employee. Okay, so this is how we make an object of a class. So if I hope everyone is clear up to this. If you have any doubt, you can just comment in the chat box. Okay, so now suppose I want to make another employee. Okay, so I declared another object, this time employee 2. Okay, I have to do the same work again. Okay, so we are doing the same. We want to do, make another employee again. Okay, now suppose I'll name this as Captain America. And it belongs to company Shield. And the age is suppose 31. Okay. When I run the program, yep, it print all the data of both the employees. But this is a tedious work, right? Like in making each and every object again and again. So it is a bit lengthy task. So now there must be some easy way, right? So here comes into action constructors. So as we mentioned, these are the member functions of the class employee. Constructors are also the member functions of the class. But constructors are a bit different, and we will definitely learn more about it in the upcoming slides. So I just make a constructor and show you how to make a constructor and what it does. Okay, so the first rule of making a constructor, it must have the same name. Okay, a constructor has a same name as the class, and it has no return type. So these two are the basic rules which you should remember. Okay. So now I want to assign the value of name, company, and age at once. Okay. So now what I will do is I'll pass here some parameters, like suppose n, a string for name, a string for company, and an integer a for age. Okay, now I'll assign name as n and company as and age as a. Okay, so now instead of doing all this work, if I comment this out, what I will do is if I try to run this, let's see what happens. Okay, sorry. It is showing it has a function called, right? So now I will assign this object. I'll initialize the values of these of the member variables. Okay, so I'll assign this employee one. I'll make this constructor and I'll assign this as Samiksha. Okay. Okay, now if we run this program, yep, it works exactly the same way. So we can remove this code. We can remove this code. Now we have reduced our code to just 2 lines, right? We just have to create an object of the class employee. Then we create a constructor of class employee and assign the values for each and every member function. Okay, and then we call the function introduce and print all the data. So this is how we build a class and use constructors and access modifiers. Now we will move on to into access modifiers and constructors. So I would like to hand over this to Harsh. Harsh, can you come?
Yeah, thank you, Samiksha. I'm audible.
Yeah.
Okay, so is my screen is visible to everyone? Oh, am I audible? Is my screen is visible?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, let's start with access modifier. As Samiksha discussed earlier in the difference between C and C++, that C++ is secure and we can hide data in C++. So let's learn about these things, like how we can hide data and how we can restrict that some data is we can access directly or some data we can't access directly. So here comes the role of the access modifier. So let's learn about it. For that, we need to we have three access modifiers, like public, private, and protected. So Samiksha gives the brief introduction of public. So let's learn about these three in detail, some detail. So yeah. Suppose we have a class name rectangle. Okay, I have created already. So I have given the name of the class as rectangle class. Okay. So let's write public and give sign here the length of the rectangle and breadth of the rectangle. Okay. And let's create a function get area. Okay. Gives the area of the rectangle. Okay. Uh, Now let's create a instance of rectangle class. Let's name it as R1. Okay. So as I have assigned, as I have make the variables length and breadth and the member function to public. Okay, as public. So I can access these variables directly from the main function. Yeah, from we can say from outside the class. Okay, so let's assign the value to these. Okay, in the area of the rectangle. Let's run this. Okay, so as you have seen, we have got the output that area of the rectangle is 200. Okay, 10 into 20. So public here is if we assign any variable to as public, then we can access those variables directly from outside and from the main function. Okay. Now try now come to private. Okay. In private, let's run first. Okay. So it is showing me error like declared private here. Okay. So in private, we can't access variables directly from the class from the main. Sorry. So for accessing those variables uh, from for accessing those private variables, we need to like हम लोग जो प्राइवेट अगर हम प्राइवेट वेरिएबल्स को प्राइवेट डिफाइन करते हैं तो हम लोग मैम जो वेरिएबल्स को एक्सेस करते हैं वो मेंबर फंक्शंस के थ्रू करते हैं. ओके, तो मेंबर फंक्शंस को फॉर getting those values of the variables, we need to make the member function as public. If we assign member function as private, then we again we can't access member function directly from the main. Okay, so let's assign these values here. Comment these two lines. Now let's run. Okay, we have got the output. Okay, so the main difference is, as I've told, like in public, we can access the values of the variables, or we can assign the values to the variables from outside or from the main function. And if we are in private, we can't access we can't access the variables, and we can't assign values to the variables from outside. Okay. And third type of access modifier is protected. Okay, so protected is same as private. So what is the difference between the private and protected? So we will learn this in detail in inheritance topic further. For just like in private, like in inheritance, we can inherit a class from the another class. So अगर हमारा वेरिएबल प्राइवेट होगा तो हम इनहेरिट क्लास में भी प्राइवेट वेरिएबल्स को एक्सेस नहीं कर सकते. बट इन इफ वी आर असाइनिंग वेरिएबल्स एज प्रोटेक्टेड, तो हम इनहेरिटेड क्लास में प्रोटेक्टेड वेरिएबल्स को एक्सेस कर सकते हैं. ओके, वी विल डिस्कस इन अपकमिंग स्लाइड्स. ओके, so if you are having any doubt till now, you can write in the chat box. Okay, what is the use of private as we can't use it in main function? So suppose I need to write a class for suppose login purpose. Okay, and I am assigning variables like username and password, but I don't want that any other from outside can access the values of my username and password. So I'll assign the variables named username and password to private, so that I can hide the data from everyone. Okay, I don't want to share the username and password, the personal details. So if you want to restrict the some data, then you will assign those assign the data to the private. Okay, is it clear? Say.
Wait, can I answer this, Harsh?
Yeah.
Hey, so the use of private function is where, like, if as someone asked a question of the validation on age, right? Suppose I put the data variables like age into public, right? So if I ask the user to enter the age of the employee, they can enter the age of the employee less than 18 or more than 65, right? But if I want to put a validation over that, then I will make data the data member private and introduce another function which will restrict or put a validation on my age, that the user should enter age which is greater than 18 and less than 65. Only that age will be stored. So this is one of the uses of private. I
Hey guys, can I add something to that?
yeah,
Hello?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so uh, just a little thing that hi Iman. The thing is that private, protected, public, all three are data modifiers, access modifiers, and see all of these three does the same work. It is just the matter of how secure one is and how do we invoke those function or members. Okay, so you are asking that so we use private only for storing data? No. यूज क्यों करते हैं? दैट हैज बीन ऑलरेडी टोल्ड बाय हर्ष एंड समीक्षा. द वन थिंग इज दैट अगर आप उसको उस क्लास से बाहर यूज करना चाहते हो, सो यू हैव अ सर्टेन थिंग्स. ठीक है, आप यूज कर सकते हो. तो देर इज वन थिंग कॉल्ड फ्रेंड फंक्शंस. हो सकता है कि ये लोग इस चीज पे बाद में आए, बट यू माइट रीड अबाउट इट. ओके, इफ यू फील सो. So yes, private members and functions can be accessed, but you have to go for it a different way. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So let's move forward to constructors. Although Samiksha will give some brief idea of constructors. So let's study the constructor a little bit in detail. Okay. So constructor is a special type of member function. So we write member function like this here. This is a member function. But what is the difference between a normal member function and the constructor? Okay. So these are some differences. A constructor has the same name as the class itself. Okay, constructor must have the same name. If you define a if you want to define a constructor, you need to make the name of the constructor as you have named the class. Okay, constructor don't have written type. A constructor is automatically called when an object is created. Let's understand this point from here. Okay, I have created an object here. So when I've created and run the program, the my constructor will automatically called like read. Let's understand this with this point. If we do not have specify constructor, C++ compiler generates a default constructor for objects. Like we have a constructor default constructor, which is given by a C++ compiler by default. Okay, so if after when we define a object, then and run the program, then a default constructor will automatically called. Okay, and the default constructor has no parameters and has empty body. Okay, and constructor must be placed in public section of a constructor must be public. Can access that constructor from outside the from outside the class. Okay, so let's understand. Uh, Move forward. So types of constructor. We have three types of constructors: default constructor, parameterized constructor, and copy constructor. So I have told you a little bit about constructor. Let's understand this with some code. I've created a class named rectangle, and in declare the length and breadth. So now let's create a constructor. So in the first point we have discussed constructor name should be the name of the class, must be the name of the class. So I have not given any parameter to rectangle. So this is the default constructor with no parameter. Okay. So let's print something. Okay. let's create an object. And I'm not assigning any value, and I'm not printing anything in the main. Let's just run this. See, I have got a default construct. I have got the like this line is printing in my compiler. Okay, so why it is printing, as I have told you here, if we do a constructor is automatically called when an object is created. Okay, so when I run the program, and my object will be is declared, so the default constructor will call automatically and do everything written inside the inside that constructor. Okay, if I'll assign the values of length and breadth in the constructor and print those values here. Now let's run this. Just a second. ठीक है, तो क्या हुआ यहाँ पे कि जब प्रोग्राम रन हुआ एंड ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट हुआ, तो ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट होते ही डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर कंपाइलर रन किया। देन डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर में क्या लॉजिक है कि लेंथ की वैल्यू 10 हो, ब्रेथ की वैल्यू 20 हो, एंड आफ्टर दैट द सी आउट विल एग्जीक्यूट। ओके, then so what will happen here is when default constructor is called, length have value 10, breadth have value 10, so that I can when I print those variables here, then I got the output. Okay, this is called a default constructor, which is called automatically when the object is just created in this line 28. Okay, now next we have parameterized constructor. So let's understand this with the example. Suppose I have given input to this constructor int L and int B, the value of the length and breadth. I am not assigning these values here. Right. Let's create another function. And assign the values to the variables as a input. What the input? Okay. So let's comment these two. Now I've created a object named R1 of rectangle class, and I'm assigning values to the length and breadth using the parameterized constructor. This is the parameterized constructor. If I have if I am passing any values, any variables, parameters to the constructor, then it is called parameterized constructor. Okay, now let's just pass the values. Okay, this is the way we can pass a very parameters to the constructor. Okay, now uh, just a second, let's create a function. Let's copy it from here. I'm printing the area. Okay, so what will happen here when I created an object and pass the parameters to this object, then my parameterized constructor will call and assign those values to the variables length and breadth, and then I printing the value of the area and calling the member function and printing the value of the area. Okay, so my variables got the input, and then uh, the area will print. Okay, is printing. Okay, so this is the parameterized constructor. Now let's come to the next one, copy constructor. Okay, just a second. So understand this here. Suppose suppose I am creating an object. Okay, R2, and I am assigning the object another object. And again printing the area of R2. Okay, let's run. Then I'll explain you. Just a second. Okay, sorry. I forgot to create an object of R1. Okay, now let's run. Just a second, let me see what is the mistake here. Created a rectangle, yes, and instance. Yeah. So copy constructor is something, if I am assigning a value of object to another object. So this is called like I am copying the data of one object to another object. Like, okay, let's remove this. I am assigning this constructor, this object, to the object name R2, and I'm printing the area. Okay, so I am copying the copying this object to this object. Okay, so this is what we call a copy constructor. Okay, so if you have any query till now, then you can ask in the chat box. No queries. So, okay, then let's move forward. Okay, now over to Samiksha. She will explain you about the principles of OOP, encapsulation abstraction. Okay. So, Samiksha, now.
Yes, Amish, thank you so much. Okay, Arham, there's a question from Arham. Harsh, if you like to answer this, kindly explain the code once again.
What do you want to write around? Like, what do you want to ask? Code once again or copy constructor once again? Okay. So copy constructor is something like agar copy is, as the name suggests, copy, we are copying something to okay, we are copying something and assigning that value to another. So what we are doing here is I am creating an object of rectangle and passing those value and assigning that object to the to this object, our name R2. So what we are doing here is कि हम इधर एक ऑब्जेक्ट को हम एक दूसरे ऑब्जेक्ट में असाइन कर रहे हैं, तो हम क्या कर रहे हैं कि एक ऑब्जेक्ट की जितनी भी वैल्यूज़ हैं, जो इंस्टेंस है ऑब्जेक्ट का, उस इंस्टेंस में जो वैल्यूज़ है लेंथ की, ब्रेथ की, मेंबर फंक्शन जो असाइन कर रहा है, ठीक है, एरिया क्या देगा मेंबर फंक्शन, वो सब हम एक कॉपी कर रहे हैं पूरा की पूरा एक इंस्टेंस क्लास का एक R2 ऑब्जेक्ट में, जो कि एक दूसरा इंस्टेंस है क्लास का. And what then what we have done in that constructor, like what we are assigning, like if I am assigning this rectangle 15 15, then what I have done, मैं assign क्या किया, लेंथ की वैल्यू 15 दी, ब्रेथ की वैल्यू 15 दी, जो कंस्ट्रक्टर बना, इंस्टेंस बना क्लास का, वो एज इट इज कॉपी हुआ R2 में with the values like length is equals to 15, breadth is equals to 15, and what I'm doing in the next line, like I'm printing the area of R2, I'm not printing the area of the assigned object. Okay, so length की वैल्यू 15 थी, breadth की वैल्यू 15 थी, और मैंने असाइन किया R2 में दूसरे ऑब्जेक्ट में और प्रिंट किया R2 का एरिया. ओके, so this is called like copy. We are copying some instance of class to another instance of class. Okay, got it. Okay, now is anyone having any query? They can write it in the chat box.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Harsh. Now we will move on to the next topic, which is principles of object-oriented programming. So basically, these are the principles or the like 4 most important features of object-oriented programming. Okay, so first is these are encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, and inheritance. So let's start with encapsulation. What do we mean by encapsulation? So encapsulation is basically is defined as wrapping up of data and information under a single unit. What do we mean by that? Like encapsulation bind करता है सारे data को एक साथ, like we made a class. Okay, so एक example लेते हैं and we'll understand from that. Suppose there's a company and there are different sections in that company. So, there is a account section, there's a finance section, there's a sales section, and etc. So the finance section handles all the financial transactions, sales maintain all the data related to the sales, and so on. So suppose there arises a situation where the finance section need the data of a uh, sale of a particular month. Okay, so this way the uh, finance section is not directly accessible to the data of sales, right? Alag alag section hai, so we have made different groups for every section so that our code is very clean and presentable and easily accessible. So the finance section cannot access the sales section directly. So what the finance section will do is they will first contact to the sales section and request him to give that particular data. So this is what encapsulation is. Here the data of the sales section and the employee control them are wrapped under a single name. Sales section is wrapped inside a different um, different envelope, and finance section was envelope in different. But since they belong to the same company, they need to interact sometime, so we are wrapping the complete sections into one capsule. So this is what encapsulation basically means. Okay, so here we have encapsulation leads to data abstraction or hiding. Now we'll go to data abstraction later, but first see how we can hide data. So in the above example, only particular section have the access to their own data, right? Sales section can access their data, only their data, right? Finance section can access only finance data. So this is how when we encapsulate data, we can hide data from one section to another. I hope this is clear. Okay, now we will learn this from an example. Okay, so we'll modify this code. So let's just everyone open your compilers. We'll start to modify this code. So now let's just do one thing as Harsh told about the access modifiers. We'll make these data members as private. Okay, and as soon as we make these private and try to run the program, we get error, right? Because the error is now we cannot access private members directly. Okay, so now what we will do is we will make some methods called the getter methods or the setter methods to get the private members out from outside the class. Okay, so you'll get to know what are the getter methods and setter methods. Now since this I want to make only these parameters as private, so I'll assign everyone else as public. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'll create a function called the set name. Okay, to set the name of the employee. This will have a parameter, suppose n, and what this function does is we will assign the value of name to the employee. Similarly, we will make a function to get the name of the employee. Okay, since it is we have to return the name, so the function type would be string. Okay, and simply return the name. Okay, so now what we did here, we made these properties or these data members as private. So if we want to call these data members from outside the class, we cannot. So for that we made a separate getter and setter methods to since we can use the private members inside the class, right? So we made a function where we are assigning the value of a name and another function to get the value of name. Now let's see how we will use these. Now I'll make the similar functions for both of the rest data members, which is set company. Okay, this will set my company. Company. This will return company name. Set age. Age will be integer, so we are passing the argument as integer type. I will assign the value of integer as n. Suppose we're taking this a to avoid confusion. Okay, and since the age is integer type, so we will return integer, and so we need to make this function as integer type. Okay, yep. So I hope everything is clear. What we did here is we made these members private, and so we need to make separate functions to call these members. Okay, now how are we going to call these functions? Okay, so we pass this I will set the age of the employee. Okay, we'll call the set age function. Okay, we'll set the age as 32, and now we will call the get age function. Get age. So this will print the age of the function, age of the employee, sorry. So here we can get the name of the employee as well. Okay, so this line will print the employee name, which we are getting from the get name function. The name, like this employee, is this years old. Okay, let's try to run this program and see what happens. Okay, so we can see the age is still 21. So this set age function did not work. Now let's see what happened here. No, wait. Yeah. We got this line. So here the age was updated. Now we printed the new age of the employee 1. Okay, so this is how we can access private members from outside the class by invoking separate function for them. So now we are going to make all this. So this is the basic idea of what encapsulation is. Okay, so if anyone have any doubt about encapsulation, you can just ask in the comment. Okay, then great, we could move ahead with, so encapsulation, I think everyone is clear with the idea of what encapsulation is. Now we will move on to abstraction. This is the second principle of object-oriented programming. What abstraction say is, abstraction means displaying only essential information and hiding the data. Data abstraction refers to providing only essential information. Okay, let's take an example of a car, right? So there is a car. So there is a car which can accelerate. Okay, so we have a accelerator, and when we push the accelerator, the car accelerates. We have a brake. When we push the brakes, the car stops. So these are the functions which are available to the user, right? But there is a very complex mechanism which is hidden behind the actual working of how accelerator is working, how the car stop or brake is working. So we are hiding these functionalities or these methods from the user, because if we are giving the user uh, like uh, like uh, if we show the inner mechanism of car to every user, it would be very complicated for a simple user to understand how the brake is working, right? So here comes abstraction, where we make simple user interface for the user and show only the required simple processes to the user. Okay, so now let's understand this with the code. Okay, suppose there's a we have employee. Now an employee want to ask for the upgradation or promotion, right? So for that, uh, वो employee अपने boss के पास जाएगा and he will ask कि I want a promotion. Now the boss want कि the complex process depend upon the boss. He has to decide कि उसको promotion मिलना चाहिए या नहीं मिलना चाहिए. Okay, so we do not want that to show. So now we will create a abstract class. एक contract create करेंगे हम, which will decide कि किसी employee को promotion मिलना चाहिए या नहीं मिलना चाहिए. Okay, so we'll create an abstract class. Let's name this class as abstract employee. We can name this anything. Okay, and now what we want to do here is we want to make only one rule, that the employee should get a promotion or not, right? So we will make a function ask for promotion. Okay, and initialize it. So we are making this function virtual function because we want to make it compulsory for every if we are accepting this contract, like if employee want to ask for promotion, then he or she must follow this function, right? So we are making this as pure virtual function. We'll learn later about this pure virtual function. So now how are we going to implement this contract into our class? It is very simple. Just apply colon and write the abstract employee class. So this contract is added into our class employee. Now what will happen? Let's try to run this program. Okay, there's an error. The error says the abstract class type employee is invalid. Obviously, we made a contract in which it was compulsory for the employee to be judged on the basis कि उसको promotion मिलेगा या नहीं मिलेगा. But हमने यहाँ पे कोई function ही नहीं बनाया which determine कि promotion मिलेगा या नहीं. Okay, so what are the factors which will determine कि promotion मिलेगा या नहीं? काफ़ी सारे factors हो सकते हैं, like how disciplined the employee is, how long the employee has been working with, how much knowledge he she has. So all these, it is a very complex process, right? So we'll just make it a simple function. We will decide this on the basis of age. right? So we will see key if the age is greater than 30, then we can promote the employee, otherwise we cannot promote the employee. Okay, so here we will make a function ask for promotion. The function which we defined here, we have to make this function here. Okay, now we are validating also. Okay, if the age is greater than 30, we can say that the employee has been promoted. Okay, else what we can print is the employee cannot be promoted. Okay, something like that we can say. Sorry, no promotion applied or something. Okay, so now we have defined, but we need to ask the now we need to ask for promotion as well, right? So let's just comment this line and this one also. And we will only ask for the promotion for both the employees. Okay, we'll call this function for both the employees, employee 1 and employee 2. Okay, now let's run the program. Okay, so it is not printing anything. Let's see where are we wrong. Okay, yeah, we made a class and we did not apply the semicolon. Let's run it again. Okay, great. So we ask for the promotion for employee 1 and the output was sorry, we cannot promote. Okay, since the age of the employee 1 was 21, which was less than 30, we cannot promote. But since the second employee was greater than 30, we could promote the employee. So this is how we hidden all this functionality from the user and only showed the basic required details. So this is the basic idea what abstraction is. Okay, so this is it. If you want to ask anything regarding abstraction or polymorphism, you can ask. No questions. Uh, everyone understood what encapsulation and abstraction does, how this works. Okay, great. We can just go ahead. Now only these two principles are left. So I'll hand over to Harsh and he'll complete this.
Yeah, thank you, Samiksha. Okay, is my screen is visible? Is my screen is visible to everyone?
Yes, you're visible.
Yeah. Okay. So let's come to inheritance. As the name suggests, like inheritance means we are inheriting some properties, something to from one to another. So in class as well, uh, the capability of a class to derive properties from and characteristics from another class is called inheritance. So एक class किसी दूसरी class की properties को प्रॉपर्टीज और करेक्टरिस्टिक्स को ड्राइव करती है तो उसको इनहेरिटेंस बोलते हैं. लाइक ओके, सो जो क्लास से हम इनहेरिट कर रहे हैं दैट इज कॉल्ड सुपर क्लास और बेस क्लास. ओके, एंड द क्लास विच इनहेरिटिंग is called derived class or subclass. Okay, so why we need inheritance? Okay, so suppose consider a group of vehicle. Okay, we want to write a class for bus, car and truck. Okay, and we are assigning to the properties of the vehicles like fuel amount, capacity, apply brakes. So these three properties or functions are same for every class. Okay, like fuel these three properties are same for all the class. So what we are doing here is we are writing same code again and again for every type of vehicle, which is like we are which is not a good thing. Like we are copying code, same code we are copying many times. So we don't want to don't want to do these things. Like, so for this we have inheritance. What we can do here, how to solve this, let's understand. Like सब क्या हम इसको सॉल्व करने के लिए क्या करेंगे कि हम एक व्हीकल क्लास बनाएंगे, ओवरऑल व्हीकल क्लास, जो जो प्रॉपर्टीज सब टाइप के व्हीकल्स के लिए सेम होंगी वो हम एक व्हीकल क्लास में डिफाइन करेंगे, और उस व्हीकल क्लास को हर टाइप के व्हीकल में इनहेरिट करेंगे. ओके, सो हमको क्या नहीं करना पड़ा, हमको जो भी हम सेम कोड मैनी टाइम्स लिख रहे थे हर एक टाइप ऑफ व्हीकल के लिए, वो हम नहीं लिख रहे हैं, हम जस्ट सिंगल टाइम लिख रहे हैं. देन वी आर जस्ट inheriting those properties or characteristics or member function from the one class named vehicle. Okay, so this is what we need inheritance. Okay, syntax क्या होता है इसका कि जिस क्लास को हम इनहेरिट कर रहे हैं, जिस क्लास में हम इनहेरिट कर रहे हैं क्लास डिफाइन करेंगे. ओके, उसके बाद एक एक्सेस मोड हम डिफाइन करते हैं. एक्सेस मोड आई विल टेल यू. देन वी विल राइट द नेम ऑफ द क्लास विच वी आर इनहेरिटिंग. ओके, अब एक्सेस मोड क्या होता है? एक्सेस मोड हमारे 3 टाइप के होते हैं, पब्लिक मोड, प्राइवेट मोड एंड प्रोटेक्टेड मोड. अब पब्लिक मोड वेट या पब्लिक मोड, प्राइवेट मोड एंड प्रोटेक्टेड मोड. अभी एक्सेस मोड में हम क्या करते हैं, लाइक इफ वी आर गिविंग एक्सेस मोड एज पब्लिक, so we are inheriting the base class in public mode. Everything written in public in the base class will also be public in the subclass. Let me show you the base code. Suppose I have created a class named A, okay, and I have I have declared some variables. Let I am declared variable X in public, Y in protected, Z in private. Okay, so I have created another class B, and what I have given access mode is public. Okay, so in public access mode, बेस क्लास में जो भी पब्लिक होगा वो एज अ पब्लिक ही इनहेरिट होगा, जो भी प्रोटेक्टेड होगा वो एज अ प्रोटेक्टेड ही इनहेरिट होगा बेस क्लास में भी. बेस क्लास के लिए भी वो प्रोटेक्टेड वेरिएबल ही होगा, एक्स पब्लिक वेरिएबल होगा, और जेड एज आई हैव टोल्ड अर्लियर दैट प्राइवेट प्राइवेट वेरिएबल्स या मेंबर फंक्शंस जो होते हैं वो हम किसी भी तरीके से नैरेट नहीं कर सकते. ओके, प्रोटेक्टेड को कर सकते हैं. दिस इज द ओनली डिफरेंस बिटवीन द प्रोटेक्टेड एंड प्राइवेट that I have told you earlier. Okay, so Z is not accessible from B. So access mode public है तो हमारा X as same as in A, like that is X is public and Y is also same as in A. Y is protected. Okay. नेक्स्ट इफ वी आर गिविंग एक्सेस मोड प्रोटेक्टेड, तो प्रोटेक्टेड अगर हम करते हैं तो जो भी वेरिएबल्स हमारे पब्लिक में होते हैं, वेरिएबल मेंबर फंक्शन और डेटा मेंबर्स जो भी पब्लिक में होगा बेस क्लास का, वो भी एज अ प्रोटेक्टेड ही इनहेरिट होगा. और जो प्रोटेक्टेड है वो तो प्रोटेक्टेड हो गई. ओके, सो चेंज क्या हुआ इधर कि अगर पब्लिक कर रहे हैं तो एज इट इज पब्लिक का पब्लिक इनहेरिट होता है, प्रोटेक्टेड का प्रोटेक्टेड इनहेरिट होता है, और प्राइवेट को हम इनहेरिट कर ही नहीं सकते. प्रोटेक्टेड में हम प्रोटेक्टेड का एज इट इज प्रोटेक्टेड इनहेरिट होता है, पब्लिक का भी प्रोटेक्टेड होता है. दैट मीन्स वी कांट एक्सेस एक्स डायरेक्टली फ्रॉम सी एज वेल, फ्रॉम सी. ओके, we can access x directly from A, but we can't access x directly from C because in C it is inherited as protected. Okay, and if access mode is private, then public as a private inherit होगा, y protected as a private inherit होगा, and अगर private variable ही है तो वो तो inherit हो ही नहीं सकता. Okay, so let's do some examples. Like let me first create a object of class A. Okay, A1, and I am assigning the value of x to 10. Okay, x is public, so I can access directly and assign the value. Now let's print value of x from class. ओके, सो अभी ए का इंस्टेंस बनाया था ऑब्जेक्ट A1, तो ए में एक्स पब्लिक है, सो आई कैन एक्सेस डायरेक्टली. अब लेट्स कम टू बी. अभी बी इनहेरिट कैसे किया है इसे एज अ पब्लिक, सो एक्स इज पब्लिक, वाई इज प्रोटेक्टेड. सो लेट्स क्रिएट एन इंस्टेंस ऑफ क्लास बी named b1 and try to assign the value of x here. Let's run. Okay, so see, we are getting output value of x from class B is 20. Why? Because first see here that I am not writing anything in B, in C and D. The class B, C, D are empty. All the variables are defined in A. We are inheriting A in class B, C and D so that I can access the variables defined in class A from B, C and D. ओके, अब डिपेंड करता है कि कौन से वेरिएबल्स हम एक्सेस कर सकते हैं वो हमारे एक्सेस मोड पे, कि हमने पब्लिक एक्सेस मोड दिया है, प्राइवेट दिया है, कि प्रोटेक्टेड दिया है या प्राइवेट दिया है. ओके, सो पब्लिक दिया है तो पब्लिक में इनहेरिट होगा, एज अ पब्लिक इनहेरिट होगा. सो बी क्लास का एक ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट किया, उसमें एक्स वेरिएबल में 20 वैल्यू असाइन करी बिकॉज इट इज पब्लिक. So we can assign value directly and print. Then I am printing the value of x from class B. So it is showing the value. Okay. Let's try to create instance of class C, name C1, and then try to access C and assigning value to this. Okay. Yeah, let's run. Okay, it is showing me error. So what is the error? X is not X is not inaccessible within the context. Okay, so why? Because access mode is access mode is protected. So A में तो X public है, but C में if access mode is protected, then public variables भी as a protected ही inherit होते हैं. So we can't access X directly from C. Okay, that's why it is showing me error. Understand the मतलब like the wait कि एक्सेस मोड, प्राइवेट मोड एंड प्रोटेक्टेड मोड में किस तरीके से पब्लिक इनहेरिट होता है, किस तरीके से प्राइवेट इनहेरिट होता है, एंड किस तरीके से प्रोटेक्टेड इनहेरिट होता है. ओके, एंड दिस इज द syntax like class, the name of the class, and then the access mode public, and then the name of the class which we are inheriting. Okay, so let's move forward to the types of inheritance. So there are many types of inheritance like single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance. So let's study them one by one in detail. Okay. Just a second. So let's wait. Suppose we have creating a class named vehicle. Okay, and assigning a default constructor. And another class, suppose a vehicle type is car. Then the access modifier, access mode, and then the class which we are inheriting. Okay, so I'm not writing anything in this class, just creating an instance, creating an object of class car C1. Okay, now let's run this. Just a second, they're showing me error. Okay, I just wrong. Let's run again. Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention the semicolon. Okay, so what happens here is एक क्लास बनाई व्हीकल, उसमें एक डिफ़ॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर बनाया, उसमें प्रिंट किया दिस इज अ व्हीकल, एंड एक क्लास बनाई कार जो कि इनहेरिट कर रही है व्हीकल क्लास को. सो हुआ क्या कि जब कोड रन हुआ एंड एक ऑब्जेक्ट बना कार क्लास का. सो उसमें क्या हुआ, जब ये ऑब्जेक्ट बना तो क्या होगा, जब ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट होता है तो डिफ़ॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर ऑटोमेटिकली कॉल होता है. तो अभी डिफ़ॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर कार क्लास का तो कुछ डिफाइन किया नहीं, बट कार क्लास जो है वो व्हीकल क्लास को इनहेरिट कर रही है। तो इन व्हीकल क्लास का जो पब्लिक मेंबर्स होंगे, जो पब्लिक में जो भी रिटर्न होगा, मेंबर फंक्शन एंड और ही डेटा मेंबर्स, वो सब हम एक्सेस कर सकते हैं क्लास में, कार क्लास में, क्योंकि हम इनहेरिट कर रहे हैं व्हीकल से। तो जब हमने C1 का ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट किया और वो रन हुआ, तो डिफ़ॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर कॉल हुआ व्हीकल क्लास का, बिकॉज वी आर इनहेरिटिंग व्हीकल क्लास फ्रॉम कार। Okay, yeah, to car. Okay, so the first type of inheritance is single inheritance. What we are doing here is just created a one class, and I have inherited a class in car. So this is the example of single inheritance. We are inheriting only one class. Okay, so now in multiple inheritance, we are creating uh, like we are creating multiple classes as we have done in this. This is the example of like a multiple class, multiple inheritance. Like we are creating, we have created three classes: class B, C, and D. Okay, and wait, I have just a second. Create a class, another class. Also here I am creating a default constructor and creating here this is a formula. Okay, now I'm so okay, so जो कार क्लास है वो एक व्हीकल है। ओके, एंड एट द सेम टाइम वो एक फोर व्हीलर भी है। तो मुझे क्या करना है कि मेरे को कार क्लास में मल्टीपल इनहेरिटेंस करने हैं कि वो व्हीकल क्लास को भी इनहेरिट करे, वो फोर व्हीलर को भी इनहेरिट करे। ओके, so for that we will write something like this. Let we write हमने एक्सेस मोड डाला पब्लिक, वी आर इनहेरिटिंग व्हीकल क्लास इन एक्सेस मोड पब्लिक, एंड वी आर आल्सो इनहेरिटिंग another class named four wheeler in access mode. So let's run this code. I forgot to mention the semicolon again. Wait, let me check the this typo error. Okay, so what is going here is we are inheriting two classes named vehicle and four wheel. अभी जिसको हम इनहेरिट करते हैं वो क्या होती है, बेस क्लास। तो ये हमारी है फर्स्ट बेस क्लास, और हम इसको भी इनहेरिट कर रहे हैं तो ये भी हमारे लिए एक बेस क्लास ही है। तो दिस इज आवर सेकंड बेस क्लास, एंड दिस इज आवर सब क्लास और ड्राइव क्लास। Okay, so this is what multiple inheritance is when we are inheriting multiple classes to one class. This is called multiple inheritance. Okay. Now multi-level. Next is multi-level inheritance. In multi-level inheritance, like suppose we are we are suppose we are inheriting class vehicle in four-wheeler. Okay, and I am not inheriting, like not doing multi-level multiple inheritance. We what I am doing here is एक व्हीकल क्लास है, ठीक है, एक फोर व्हीलर क्लास है. फोर व्हीलर क्लास क्या कर रही है, एक व्हीकल क्लास को इनहेरिट कर रही है, क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली फोर व्हीलर इज अ व्हीकल. सो आई वांट टू इनहेरिट व्हीकल क्लास in four wheeler, and I am creating another class named car, the type of a vehicle which is inheriting a four wheeler. So this is the example of a multi-level, that we are inheriting four wheeler, we are inheriting vehicle in four wheeler and then four wheeler in car. Okay, now let's run this. This will give the same output as we get previous. So this is the example of multi-level inheritance. Like we are doing levels of we are inheriting class one by one, like, okay, in the tree, like, okay. So this is all about multiple inheritance. Next two are also we are not discussing in detail these two inheritance. Just let me just tell you about, just in a brief. Hierarchical inheritance में क्या होता है कि बेस क्लास होती है, बेस क्लास से मल्टीपल इनहेरिटेंस हो सकता है. ओके, लाइक वी आर doing something. Suppose we have class A, then we can inherit class A in class B and C, and then we are having another class E. We are inheriting that E class from B. So this created a structure of a tree, like बेस क्लास ए है, उससे बी और बी सी ए को इनहेरिट कर रही हैं, फिर ई बी को इनहेरिट कर रही है, एफ बी को इनहेरिट कर रही है. तो दिस इज अ हिरार्किकल इनहेरिटेंस. ये हम कुछ भी मतलब किसी से भी इनहेरिट कर सकते हैं. हाइब्रिड में हाइब्रिड इज समथिंग लाइक if something like hybrid is a special type of hierarchical. If in hierarchical inheritance, if we are doing something like we are in a particular class, we are inheriting two classes, then it is not hierarchical, but it will be a hybrid, which is a a case of hierarchical. Okay, hybrid. So we are not going to run these in detail. Let's move further. Like polymorphism. Okay, next. Polymorphism is we can say the it's a ability of a message to be displayed in more than one form. Okay, if we are doing something, if we are assigning something single time, uh, but the characteristics of that particular thing is different, then it is we can call it as a polymorphism. Let's understand it with example. Suppose this is I am giving you the example of function overloading. Okay, so just give me a minute. Suppose I have a class named rectangle. Okay, I'm defining public length with some member function. Suppose I am defining function, suppose named func and giving a parameter to it. Okay, so suppose we have then I'm defining another function having the same name func. Okay, and giving this to argument of type double. Suppose okay length. And also another function having the same name and giving two arguments. Okay, I'm printing this. ओके सो अभी इसमें क्या हुआ कि फंक्शन का नेम क्या है, तीनों फंक्शन के नेम सेम है सो सपोज ठीक है, बट उनके जो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं, प्रॉपर्टीज हैं, वो डिफरेंट है। कैसे कि ये जो फंक्शन है वो एक आर्ग्यूमेंट ले रहा है टाइप इंट का, ये एक फंक्शन है एक आर्ग्यूमेंट ले रहा है टाइप डबल का, ये एक फंक्शन है आर्ग्यूमेंट पैरामीटर्स ले रहा है दो पैरामीटर्स ले रहा है टाइप इंट के। So suppose I'm creating a class rectangle in R1 and calling R1 function and giving value 10. Okay, then R1 func giving a value 10.5, R1 func giving two values type int. Okay, suppose for distinguishing and double. Okay, so let's run. Just a second. So what is happening here is if I am passing a value int, then this function is working. Okay, this is printing value of L is 10. If I am passing value in double, then this function is executing. Value of L is as double is L. Okay, 10.5. If I am passing two arguments in of int type, then this function is executing and printing the value. Okay, so this is called something called function overloading, and this is a type of polymorphism, as the name of the function is same but the arguments are different. So like this is the core concept of polymorphism, like same function but different outputs. Okay, different work. So this is called polymorphism. So this is all about today. If you want to ask something, you have any query related that you have studied.
भाई पॉलीमॉर्फिज्म में डबल और वो फ्लोट को लिख सकते हैं
किधर फंक्शन आर्ग्यूमेंट्स में?
जी
जी जी एक हर आर्ग्यूमेंट को, किसी भी टाइप के आर्ग्यूमेंट को लिख सकते हो। ओके
जैसे आपने इंट जहाँ लिखा है वहाँ पे फ्लोट लिखेंगे तो चलेगा?
हाँ, अभी सपोज मैंने इंट में एक डबल भी दे दिया, सपोज एक आर्ग्यूमेंट दे दिया इंट एल एंड डबल बी। ओके एंड आई एम पासिंग अ वैल्यू 10 एंड another value 10.5, so it will execute. Wait, let me print it. Okay, see it will execute like एक आर्ग्यूमेंट इंट है, एक आर्ग्यूमेंट डबल है, डबल टाइप का है। सो एक आर्ग्यूमेंट एज अ इंट लिया, डबल किया, तो ये वाला फंक्शन एग्जीक्यूट हुआ, बिकॉज इट इज गेटिंग आर्ग्यूमेंट वन आर्ग्यूमेंट एज इंट एंड वन आर्ग्यूमेंट एज डबल टाइप. So if it detects like if you are calling function with a int value and a double value, then this function will execute.
फ्लोट और डबल में कैसे डिफरेंशिएट करेंगे हम?
Float and double are same thing. Is just the difference between a float and double is only that float is maybe float is 2 bit memory लेता है वो, double 4 bit लेता है. Wait, is it correct, Samiksha? I
फ्लोट
think
4 बिट लेते हैं एंड डबल 8,
double 8, yeah.
और वो
Okay.
कंपाइलर पे भी डिपेंड करता है ना, 32 बिट
हाँ.
या 64.
So yeah, float and double is just same thing. It's just the memory difference between these two. Okay, it will execute same as double and same as float. Just- फ्लोट वैल्यू के लिए कुछ डिफाइन करना पड़ता है क्या समीक्षा? एफ लिखना पड़ता है?
नहीं, हो जाता है.
Yeah, okay. So for type float, you need to write like float explicitly. Okay, f 10.5 f, so it will detect it as a float value. Okay. Yeah. So anybody else having any query related to today's session? We will provide you the slides, and also we will provide you some detailed references where you can read those topics more in depth. So anyone having any query, they can ask and or they can write in the chat box.